Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Special edition of the No Spin News, an analysis of President Trump's speech accepting the Republican nomination for president. So I got notes all over the place here. Spoke for more than an hour. I give it a B. It could have been shorter. It was redundant. He went over repetitive, stuff. But two themes emerged, and I'll get to that. Two big picture themes, and this gives you an idea of how he's going to campaign in the fall. First of all, he looked good. All right, he got a haircut. Suit was good, crisp. White House was a good setting. Looked good, sounded good, didn't look tired or worn out. So the presentation visually worked. They had a big crowd on the White House lawn, about 1,500 people. Most of them didn't wear masks, and that's what CNN will do all day long. But they'll ignore the speech because why bother to tell people what the President of the United States actually said? The importance of the speech is this. It kicks off the campaign officially. So now we're into it, all right? I can't tell you who's going to win. I will be able to tell you the end of October, as I did 4 years ago. We have the best sources in the business, and I mean the best. So I'll know. But right now, it's pretty tough because of COVID and the racial unrest. So the speech that Donald Trump gave was like the State of the Union speech. That's why I didn't give it an A, because it's the same thing as he did in the State of the Union. Here's what we did for you. All right. And then Ivanka did that too. And all right, okay. And I understand that the press is never going to report the good things that Donald Trump does. So he feels the need to go over it and over and over it. But you could have truncated it a little bit. The second major theme was that Joe Biden is a stooge for the far left. And that was far more interesting to me because I believe that could very well be true. And I acknowledge I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think the evidence thus far is that Joe Biden really doesn't have any core belief system. He wants power. Maybe if he got power, he wouldn't be a radical leftist, but right now, he certainly is playing into the radical left's vision. But back to President Trump. So he says we're going to have a new spirit of unity. That's bull, with all due respect. I mean, this is a divided country, and if Donald Trump is reelected on November 3rd, it's going to remain divided. He's not going to unify anybody. It's a struggle between traditional Americans and the really confirmed liberals who feel that the country is not noble. So traditional noble, liberal not noble. There's no middle ground there, okay? And it's not going to unify it. So that was a bunch of bull. Then he goes into COVID. And the only real important thing there, and he, reiterated what he did, and it's fine. Again, I don't mind that. But he said he promised a vaccine before the end of the year. It's a bold promise. I believe it'll happen. But again, I could be wrong. Now, he said very early on that this is the most important election in American history. Not quite true. The Civil War, Abraham Lincoln first term election was the most important. And then, there were a few that rival today. But in my lifetime, this is the most important election. Because again, you have a surge on the radical left. And it's sports, entertainment, press is corrupt, falling apart, all of that. And, I don't believe that Joe Biden is capable of stopping the far left. And I've told you that. But I'll still cover the campaign fairly. But I don't believe he can do it or even wants to do it because you don't pick a Kamala Harris as VP if you want to stop the far left. She's the poster lady for it. All right, so then Donald Trump goes into the socialist agenda will demolish the country. Very, very possible. You start to raise taxes on corporations, corporations are going to get out of here and go back overseas. And there's no law preventing that. You start raising taxes on affluent people, they'll get out of here. Look what's happening in New York. Millions of people are leaving the state. All right? Wealthy people have options. Then he gets into the violence. The violent agitators threaten our citizens. Absolutely true. I used to live in Portland, Oregon, as many of you know. Beautiful town. Destroyed. Destroyed by far-left governance. The governor, Kate Brown of Oregon, did nothing. This stupid mayor is beyond belief, Wheeler. And now every business in downtown Portland, out of there. They're done. Will it come back? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think for years. And now you have another go-around in Kenosha. And we'll talk about that next week. I want to get more data on that. All right? I'm still exploring that. But you see how the radical left seizes it. Oh, all the cops are bad. Oh, it's killing black men. That's all I want to do is kill black men. All right. So then Donald Trump goes that the left sees the USA as a wicked nation. Far left does. Far left does. Wicked is a good word. They hate us. They hate me. Probably hate you. I mean, they hate. And that's wicked. Biden is a destroyer of American greatness. Well, we'd have to see. Certainly Joe Biden as a senator didn't do much. And as a vice president, I say to all my liberal friends, give me one thing, just one, that the Obama-Biden administration in 8 years did to improve race relations in America. Give me one. Nobody can do it. The truth. Then Trump got into, he said, and I didn't know this, and I'm going to check it, that his administration has deported 500,000 criminal aliens. Wow. I'm going to check that. I don't know if that's true. He said he's done more for black Americans than anybody but Abraham Lincoln. FDR did more than Donald Trump for black Americans. Lyndon Johnson did more. As much as Lyndon Johnson booted everything else, he did more. But that's the president's opinion. ISIS, yes, absolutely, ran wild under Obama, Biden, ran wild, ISIS. And they had a very touching thing. They had, at the convention, a couple whose daughter was killed by ISIS. And they came and they told about their daughter. It was very moving. But Trump has destroyed ISIS. I said that very early on. That's big. Do people in America care, or does LeBron James care that America destroyed ISIS? I don't even think he knows. Maybe I'm being unfair to Mr. James, but it's pretty big. Biden calamities. He says Biden's in China's pocket. I don't think that's true. I don't think Biden is a tough guy on China. I don't think Chinese control him. China allowed COVID. To some extent, that's true. China virus. And then he got into the economic recovery that we're going to see after the vaccine comes, a surge. But under Biden, we would not see it. If I had a bet on who was a better guy to have an economic surge, I would have to put my money on Trump. Other than Joe Biden, I don't know who's betting Biden is going to surge the economy over Trump. If you know someone, send me their name, and I'd like to talk to them. Late-term abortion, you got into that nun last night. I'm going to run it next week. Her soundbite was pretty darn effective on late-term abortion. Okay. Then he got into, and this is the defining issue for Donald Trump. This is the issue that will win him the election. That is the social disorder. Okay? The riots, the crime in the streets in New York and Chicago and other big cities. Social disorder may very well win Donald Trump the election. Keep your eye on Minnesota. Minnesota is now even. This is a traditionally liberal state. Walter Mondale, the only state he won was Minnesota when he ran against Reagan. All right? Primarily white state, dominated by Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. But everybody in Minnesota knows what's happening in the Twin Cities. And Trump is running even with Biden. Trump wins Minnesota. And now with Kenosha, Wisconsin, that's going to help Trump. And I hate to say it because you don't want some guy shot 7 times, all right, unless he had to be. And we still don't know that. All right, as I said, I'm going to report in a fair, methodical, and disciplined way on this next week. But we don't want tragedy, all right, to be the decider. But Wisconsin, primarily white state, they're watching in Kenosha as buildings get set on fire without any kind of adjudication of what happened. Okay, so then Trump, I would have liked to have seen him cut the speech down and concentrate on this mob rule, because that's what we're seeing. And then he's pro-police. He brings in a murdered cop whose 3 kids were in the audience, and that he says police are noble, courageous, and honorable, the vast majority of them. Now, I believe the majority of American law enforcement is that. Vast majority, I'd say most police officers are good and want to do the right thing, but there's a reason there's an internal affairs division in every big city police department. But we don't want to go too much. We want to say policing needs to be reformed. It does. And the FBI should be taking the lead in this. But I'll get into that next week too. But to demonize the police, defund the police, all of this is insane. And New York City is the best example of how that is just destroying a city of 8.5 million. 7.5 now, 1 million have taken off. And there'll be another 1 million following them. Okay? That's how bad it is in New York City. Be glad you do not live here. So the president concentrated on the mob rule thing. That resonates, all right? Then he said the Republican Party is the Patriot Party, the flag party. You stand up for your flag. The radical left comes after him. True. You got to understand that the New York Times and the Washington Post control a lot of the agenda here. And they're both far left papers now. All right? And they control a lot. They have an alliance with the Democratic Party and basically putting forth, we want socialism in this country. You know, I had an interesting debate with the urchins. I've been on vacation this week, as some of you know. And I had a bunch of high school kids around because my son is going to be a senior in high school. And I'm going, hey, socialism or capitalism? And then, I have to bring them along. So there was a little debate about it. And I said, think about this. In every socialist, communist country in the world, give me one thing that they've invented for the whole planet. Light bulb, car, plane, anything. Give me anything. Nobody could. Because there isn't anything. And I said, what is that? Why is Russia the biggest country in the world, or China, the most populated country in the world? Both experience communist areas. Why haven't they given anything to mankind? And the reason I told them, because they had no idea, was because individuals invent things. But if you do that in a communist socialist country, the government takes it away from you, appropriates it. Putin takes it right away from you. All right? The Chinese Politburo in Beijing, you're not going to get wealthy or anything from your invention. They don't do it. The vaccine's going to come from here or England, where there'll be $1 billion payoff. That's capitalism. Communism, nothing. Zero. So anyway, I'm sorry I diverted, but Trump made the point that this socialist thing, communist thing, Remember, Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez, they're all involved with Biden. Biden hasn't repudiated any of this far-left garbage. And Trump's tying them into it more and more and more. It's a winner. It's not a big a winner as a social disorder. That's the big winner for Donald Trump. All right, now, maybe that will diminish. Maybe COVID vaccine won't show up. And on November 3rd, we'll go to the polls with, fear about a virus and then a bad feeling about race relations. That's not a good recipe. We got to be on the ascendancy for Trump to win. There's got to be an arc going up for him to win. If the arc is continuing going down, he'll lose. And you know me, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not a hoper. I don't base my analysis on hope. Now, I told you very beginning I can't vote for Biden, though I'd have to write in somebody's name if I don't want to vote for Trump. I know Trump very well. We'll see. But I got to do what's best for the country. All right? Trump promises to create 10 million jobs. So Biden says he'll create 40 million jobs. I mean, this is blather. All right? Joe Biden is weak. We'll see in the debate how weak he is. Trump pledges to hire more police. And this was the end. Here was the end. And this is one of the keys here. At the end of his speech, he reiterated the stuff he had done, but he mentioned something very briefly. He said that his administration is going to, quote, ensure equal justice. Impossible. Can't do it. But the fact that he mentioned it was kind of an olive branch to liberal people who are not crazy liberal, that he's aware that sometimes justice is not equal. And sometimes that's true for many, many reasons. If I get in trouble, I can afford a very expensive lawyer. If a poor person gets in trouble, they cannot. Same justice system. Now, that's a poverty-based thing, not a skin color-based thing, which you'll never hear from the left. They want to make it all about America's a horrid, wicked nation. Wicked is what Donald Trump said. Why they want to do it, I have no blanking clue. Because America is the land of opportunity. That's why millions of people try to sneak in here. And Donald Trump did hit the immigration thing fairly hard, saying that Biden would not enforce border. He wouldn't. You'd have many, many more undocumented people coming into the United States if Biden's elected. There's no doubt about it. He's not going to enforce the border. He's going to give massive entitlements to everybody, including undocumented people. What are you going to do? That's what the Democratic Party does, because they get more votes that way. I've told you this, but this is a very, and Trump missed it. I mean, I know he sees my commentary, but he missed it tonight. The plan is to flood the United States with as many undocumented foreign nationals as possible, and then give them amnesty, all of them. Biden would do that. And then fast track them to vote. Biden would do that. And that way you knock out the Republican Party in Florida and Texas, Arizona, states where there are a lot of foreign nationals that come. That is the ultimate plan. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it. Because there are think tanks on K Street in Washington that work up these plans. And they're paid by the Democratic Party. And there are think tanks that are paid by the Republican Party. Certainly the gun lobby throws an enormous amount of money at Republicans. And by the way, President Trump will defend the Second Amendment. He said that a number of times. We know that. So summing up, speech was too long. I gave it a B. Some of the points like mob rule, which are very, very important. And he hit cancel culture. He hit political correctness. That should have been more in the forefront than a lot of the self-serving stuff. Again, he's got to mention it. All right, I'm going to check out the 500,000 deportations. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll have it for you next week. But I, right now, after the two conventions, all right, so we're approaching September 1st on Tuesday. I'll be here Monday. I think it's about even. the polls are, they're push polls. You're not going to get that. But you'll see it tightening. Keep your eye on Minnesota. Keep your eye on that. So all in all, tonight was a positive, Donald Trump. Convention was a positive for Republicans. Not many people watched. Fox got big ratings, as I told you they would, because Democrats aren't going to watch. The media will rip Trump apart tomorrow. They'll just take it and rip it. But are you really watching it? I'm not watching it. I'm not. I'm disturbed about the athletes. I think the athletes need to bring it down a little bit. They're making a lot of mistakes in the way they present themselves. I don't mind protest. I told you, and I firmly believe this, and we'll get into this on Monday. On Monday, I'm going to give you a belief system, my belief system, because I think I owe it to you to tell you where I'm coming from when I analyze things. But I know a lot of African Americans, and I respect their belief. Much of it based on personal experience, that they're not treated the same way in our society that whites are. And I think we can work on that. Well, you don't tear the nation apart. And you don't say, if you're African American, you don't have a chance. That's bull. And you give kids grievance and they don't even try. That's destructive. You don't do any of that. But I think that Donald Trump did say we're going to ensure equal justice. That was a signal. Knows that stuff is taking place. Never going to have a perfect society. Never. And now, whenever a black man or woman, but that's, Breonna Taylor is an exception. It's not too common. But whenever a black is killed by police, you're going to have this. No matter what. A guy could have a bazooka shooting at police. You're still going to have it. Because the press will never report anything accurately. They sat on the George Floyd autopsy for 2.5 months. Now, to me, that didn't change my opinion of what happened. And again, we'll deal with all this next week. So Donald Trump helped himself tonight. Republican convention was a success for him. Democratic convention was a success for Biden. But I think Trump comes out stronger if you compare the two. Thank you for listening to this very special report. And I don't get overtime because I run the company. But I wanted to do this. I wanted to keep everybody current. We're going to come back very strong on Monday with a belief manifesto of America, my belief manifesto. I want to see how much my belief system coincides with your belief system. So I hope you're here for that. We're going to open this up on BillO'Reilly.com. If you got friends that are not watching, please ask them to watch this. I think we have the best, smartest, and most fair analysis of this election, which is now officially underway. Talk to you on Monday.